And scene 2, start.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't even know what you're doing. I just see Snapchats. You
what?
losing like a flat tire or like Cairo. It's really all I see.
Well, because I'm not trying to send snap. What am I gonna send you Snapchats?
Or like 2 o'clock in the morning food runs. You're like, why am I doing this? Or like 6 o'clock in the morning wake ups. Why am I doing this?
That's why I'm busy. Because people just be asking me to do shit all the time at random hours.
You should do what you want to do.
But that's my person. Like that's my thing. I'm that person.
That's true. You can learn to say
I'm
no.
just reliable. So when you're on time and reliable. So when you're a reliable human being, people rely on you.
Pro tip.
Don't
if
be
you're
reliable.
meeting up with G-Bad and you're off time, don't
even show up.
Don't be off time.
Depends.
Be on time.
Depends. I give it like a 10-minute. Like
if you have a good excuse.
I'm
but
not like
if you're like, oh yeah, I'll be there, and you're not doing anything, you're just taking your time to get there.
And if you're consistently doing that, I will call you out on it.
Just communicate.
Yes, honestly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Look at you, figure it out.
I mean,
I've been friends with me for so many years.
I've been on the other side, and I've been on the same side as you, like reading the text saying, "Oh yeah, we're on our way," and they don't show up for 30 minutes when they live 10 minutes down the road.
So you get it. You know how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the funnest. Honestly, it comes down to the principle of you not respecting my time. Like you think I'm just free.
Yeah.
And I didn't. Like, oh yeah, 3:30 and 4 is the same.
Yeah.
Like, not.
But you like making the most of your time.
Yeah.
I can just waste like. No, like I can waste time, but then I can't waste time. But like
when you say I'm gonna be there at 3:30, I'm like, okay, we're gonna be there at 3:30. I'm probably gonna be free by 6:30.
Oh, I won't waste
other
time
shit
like
going
that.
on.
It depends on the context of what we're doing. Like if we're hanging out with a couple people, then I'll be on time. If it's a party, I'll show up kind of when I show up. Like
That's
if it's
fine.
a big event,
But
I'll show up when I'm show up. But when you're one of the
to be there.
Yeah, when you're like one of the 4 people hanging out, or like
That's
2 of the
totally
4
different,
people hanging out, yeah, then that.
Because when you're in a big event, nobody's waiting on you.
No.
But
unless
if
it's your
like,
wedding, but then it's your wedding, so you
Yeah,
can do
fair.
whatever you
That's, no. But that's what I mean. Like if people are waiting on you,
Yeah.
that's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
But if you're just like showing up, like that's different. Like
Yeah.
obviously people are not waiting on you to
Yeah.
like, show up. I'm not like mad about
Yeah.
that. Like I told you to be here at 8, you were here at
Yeah.
8:30, whatever. But if I'm like legit, like you and I are hanging out and I have to pick you up at 3:30, I'm at your house at 3:30 and you don't come out till 4, I'm gonna throw hands. Cause what do you mean? Like what a waste of time. Like you know how much I could have done in the half an hour? And not to mention to get there at 3:30, I was probably like rushing. I could have taken my sweet time.
That's true.
So then I'm just like, you're just disrespectful. Like you just don't respect my time.
But then now you're assuming people are being disrespectful on purpose because they're not respecting your time.
It doesn't matter.
When really it's their own fault and their own problem for not being punctual on their time.
Exactly.
It's not about affecting the other person. To them, from their perspective,
no,
they're
I'm
just
saying
like,
that's the consequence.
Yeah, they're
of
just
you
like,
being
it's
the
not
way
the
you
biggest
are.
thing.
The consequence affects me.
Yeah.
How's that fair?
Yeah. Sometimes
That's
you
what I'm
act
with.
and you don't know how it affects other people.
Which is again a whole other principle.
That's a whole other
Be
conversation.
considerate. Like
It's a whole other conversation.
That's what I mean. Like people are just not considerate, and I don't fuck with that. I know people are like, "Oh, it's okay." Nah, it's not
It's
okay.
not okay. That's why people don't talk to you anymore. Right?
Ooh!
But just like anybody, when people don't see the wrong in their ways.
Oh, don't fuck with them anymore.
Exactly. And then they wonder why
You stop talking to them.
people stop talking to them,
You're
or
not
they don't
adding
get
to my
calls
life
anymore, or stuff, or
Yeah. Like I feel like if you're not adding to my life, you're taking from my life.
And then there's some people
what's the point?
you want to communicate with and you want to keep in touch
But you
with.
just can't because they're issues, and you're like, that's on you.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to be like, yo, this is no longer on me. I did all the things that I was in my capacity, and I did it. I'm okay with this now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like with me, I just do all the things I can in my capacity to make a situation better.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't progress, then I did my best, and that's that. And now it's on you. And
I'm kind of different in that sense where I'll do my best and then I'll try to do the best for the other people who can't. Like, I'll just try to make the best of the situation.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, at the end of the day, you're gonna make the best of it. But I'm saying, like, how do you not feel guilty being like, could I have done more?
You
Just
can
say
feel,
that.
yeah, but then
like,
you just...
you know what you're saying with, like, not feeling guilty? You know how you're like, oh, this shit went sideways, I wish it hadn't. Then I'm like, oh, I wish it hadn't. Okay, what can I do to make it better? And you can do all the things, but it still can't be better. So at some point, you have to be like, you know what? This is not worth the energy I'm putting in anymore. Like,
or
I'm
it's
not
not
really
worth the worry.
or whatever. Like, I did all that I could.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with this now.
Yeah.
Like, the only time I get okay with, like, not be fucking with anybody anymore is if I've done everything in my power to be able to, like, come to that, like, a better conclusion, right?
It's like a wave. It's like, are you on the upward trend of the wave or are you on the downward trend of the wave?
But, like, once I'm done, I'm done. I'm like, I did all I could do.
Yeah.
And it's not, like, that's it.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is
like,
what it is.
What it is. So
that's
like,
how
okay.
it came to be, and that's how it would end, right?
And I'm saying in general, when you were like fucking with someone heavy, not in a romantic way, but I'm just saying
when
like,
you're tight
in your
with
life,
them,
whatever. Like you
like
fuck heavy with that person, and then you suddenly are like, yo, this shit's going sideways. At what point do you be like, you know what? It is what it is. I tried my best, and I don't feel guilt towards that anymore.
I guess I feel that depends on the person.
Yeah, because I feel like I do feel guilty the whole time, like I'm going through the process. I'm like, oh my god, like I should do more to save the relationship or like make it be better. But then I reach a point of like, okay, I did A, B, C. Like I did everything in my capacity and nothing changed. So you know what? This is no longer on me. And the other person can view it differently. They can be like, oh, but you didn't do this or you didn't do this. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But that's on you.
Yeah, it's also takes time to change. It might not happen due to your actions. They might need to just have something happen to them in life and they'll switch up, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, that's the thing. It's like how much you value that relationship, how much time you're willing to put into it, or like...
And I feel like the longer the turmoil continues, the less you value it.
Also, just kind of sometimes taking a step back. You don't have to cut ties and stop everything.
Yeah, you
just
can
take a step back and you don't hang out as much. And then that person will grow. You will grow and you'll come back and all that stuff, the good stuff you had before will still be there, and the bad stuff might either be gone or it might still be there, but hopefully
so you're saying you don't hold grudges? I don't hold grudges either.
It depends on what was done, right?
No, but you still can be like, oh, I don't fuck with you, but I don't wish ill will on it.
It's like if you killed my my sister, I'm going to kill you. Like, I'm going to hold a grudge, right? Kind of thing. But that's if you just like, that's what I mean, right? It depends on the context.
Yeah, obviously you're not going to be like, oh, we're friends now.
Right? It's going to turn into an action movie and I'm going to look for you and I'm going to find you and I'm going to take all your money.
That's so weird. And then you're the criminal.
And your life.
You know, you look really scary doing that because you have a bald head now.
Am I? But then I can go like this and look really cool.
Oh, okay.
And then I can look sad. But then I can look happy.
I feel like your hair has nothing to do with what you're doing right now. What you were doing earlier was scary because of your non-existent hair.
Okay, back to combo.
Okay. I'm glad that you got that out of your system.
Are you gonna put that in?
Yeah, I probably will. That would be great. I don't know actually.
You should just put it at the beginning when it has like chilling in the car and there's no audio.
Sitting in the car.
Chilling on the porch.
That's where I actually got it from. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know if I did. Like later.
That's what I think every time I see an episode. I'm like, chilling on the porch.
Yeah. No, the whole premise of the car is like, you know when you drop somebody, okay, this is where the podcast started, is because whenever, you drop your friend off or something, and you just like talk in the driveway because you're like, just discussing shit and like an hour has gone by. That's why I'm like, yo, this is like
that's just being
podcast
Indian
material. Yeah, and like this is podcast material. Like that's usually the conversation where you're like, this podcast material. It sounds like this is a cool premise to be like.
When you're not afraid to say what you want to say, also, because you're just gonna go your separate ways after. When you're more free with your conversation as well.
I guess so.
Also, the kind of conversations you have when you get high. Because those are different. But also when you've spent a whole day together and you've done a lot of events together, then you
have to talk about.
You have a different kind of chemistry for that day even. And like you have a different vibe that day, and like sometimes you want to get things off your chest. Sometimes you want to point out something in the other person, or sometimes you'll just let it go. Because it was that kind of day. And it's not the time.
You're very day to day, huh?
Yeah. Moment to moment. Right? Like you're saying, because we're like tourists. I swear we've had this conversation before. We had it right on the stairs. I remember, about like thinking about what we do before we just do it.
Yeah, and I think that is a tourist quality. Like I really be like, how does this affect? Like really trying to predict the consequences of my decision before I make the decision. Because
I'm always thinking about how what I will do will affect the other person.
Yeah, me too.
And last thing I want to do is affect anybody in a negative way.
Yeah, but I still miss.
But I do it. sometimes
with
when
the
I
best
don't
intentions.
want to. And sometimes, yeah,
It
that
just
too.
goes sideways, and you're like,
I'm
but I
just
really
saying
thought,
something.
like,
I'm not trying to attack anybody.
Yeah.
And then people get mad. I'm like, what did I do? And then you're like,
I feel like you-
Roman, it's not like you didn't mean it.
Yeah.
But you just shouldn't bring up shit.
He does this all the time. I'm like, are you tone deaf? Like, you know how you're just a genuinely curious person, and to you, nothing is like, you're not meaning it in a malicious way, but that's a touchy subject for somebody else. So they get defensive, and then you're confused why they're defensive. I'm like, you're bringing up something they don't want to talk about. Whereas to you, you want to talk about everything.
But then I like, because they're defensive about it, I'm thinking like, if we talk about it, if we get through it, you won't feel that way.
He's like trying to help you, but you're just like, dude, why are you talking to me about something that I don't want to talk about?
You're gonna be defensive because you think about it, then you block it off, and you're like, fuck it, it's bad, I don't want to think about it, whatever, and you get down about it.
But you can't make the decision for people.
I know.
Especially at parties.
That's what I know.
He corners people at parties and is like, hey, what about that one thing you don't want to talk about? Let's talk about that thing.
It's because, like, I only do it to my really close friends, right?
No, you don't. You do it to all sorts of people. You don't even notice it. That's why people react some type of way.
Those people are close to me.
Yeah, and you know what? Okay,
I feel close to them, and I'm like...
And then they're even more confused because you're like, yo, you know me.
I'm just trying to help people.
It's so problematic. I see it happen. Like, I'm the third person in that conversation, and I'm like, don't bring this up, Roman.
You are always the third, and then you go like this. You do this face, you're like...
I'm like, yo, don't... like, you would think he's toned up, because I know exactly where he's coming from. It's like watching a train wreck. Like, I'm watching this happen, and I can see exactly where
I'm the train coming, and you see the rails already.
I'm like, oh my god, like, you're just not gonna get through to this person in this environment, and like, that's not happening. And I get where you're coming from and your intention with it, but it just doesn't matter, because that's not how it's coming off. And then you just dig yourself a bigger and bigger and bigger hole, and I'm like, you know what?
And like, when you pointed out last time, I'm like, I thought back onto it and reflected it, and I'm like, being more choosy about what I say. Before, I just didn't want to say the bad thing that was straight off bad, and now I'm saying bad things with good intentions, or like talking about topics that shouldn't or don't need to be talked about right now,
or with good intentions.
That's the problem I'm having now. So now it's like thinking what topics are good to talk about.
Because not every time, okay, to you and I, all environments are safe environments. We will talk about anything to anyone about anything, right? But not everybody's like that, especially about
That's the thing. I keep thinking everybody's just safe. Like us.
They're not. That's what he thinks. He's like, people just want to talk about everything all the time. Like, literally at a party, me and Roman will be talking about our deepest fears. I'm like, yo, imagine getting dementia. And he'll be like, yo, that's fuck. Like, we'll fully at a party have this conversation.
Dementia's crazy.
It's so crazy. It's my biggest fear. But not everybody's like that. They don't think a party is a safe place for them to talk about their biggest insecurity. But you'll be like, freaking.
For me, it's not the party. It's just like, oh, you're here too. Let me just have this conversation with you, or whatever we're doing in the moment. Like, if we're just sitting on the couch with our drinks and parties going on, then you would have those kind of conversations.
No, you would not.
I would. But that's the thing. Unless you're at like the bar and with not a bar, but like the table with all the food, then you're having more jovial conversations.
People don't want to like dive so much into their insecurities. Like, not people don't see things like we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how
I dive in that shit all day.
Me too. Like, you know how you're like, oh, this is a rough edge, let me smooth it out. People don't want to smooth shit out. Like, not everybody's out here.
I want to be smooth as a baby's bottom.
Like, that's not what people are trying to do. Like, you really be like thinking, oh, you know,
I'm thinking for their best. I'm thinking for in their best intentions for them to be a better human being to get through.
You can't do it.
I know. I've had that conversation with somebody else. Yeah, I'm
like,
not.
They have to do it themselves.
I'm trying to make better of other people, but I'm not there to do that.
And you never know. They might not be in that place right now to have that conversation or like to have that growth happen to them. So you gotta let it go. You can't corner people and talk about their insecurities at parties. Stop doing that.
I didn't corner them. I just said it out loud.
I know, and I'm just like...
And I was like, oh, is this not the time?
I like now that
But the thing is, I said it in a joking manner, trying to make a joke out of it, because I thought it was funny.
It's not funny. You just don't bring some shit up. Like, if somebody is insecure about something, just don't bring it up.
Because you know what I do? I was like, what if I was in their spot and somebody brought it up? I'd be like, I just make a joke out of it, but that's me.
You're you. Yeah,
that's me.
That's different.
And they're different.
Yeah.
Right?
Now I notice, ever since I mentioned it, that you'll talk to somebody about something and then look at me and be like, you're
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you're good.
You're like my older sister. I'm like, is this alright?
I'm like, Roman, you gotta stop. Because it's happened so many times where I'm the third person in that conversation.
But now you notice me noticing when I do it. Right? It's not like I just do it and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, because you would be so confused. I'm like, how are you confused? Like, their reaction was so viscerally not wanting to talk about it, and you continue to be like, nobody. I'm like, stop.
No, but really, think about it, guys.
I'm like, Roman, I'll just like go somewhere else and call you over so I can be like, don't talk about that shit.
Or you're like,
no, I'm like, don't do do it. Don't do it.
I read your face signals really well.
Yeah, now.
I know exactly what you're saying without you having to say it.
That's actually so true. Like, you'll be like over there and talking to someone, and I'll see you look
like
over,
this,
and I'll be like,
or if you're like this, like you got so many different little like mannerisms. It's like, well, that's when like friendship turns into more than being a friend, and you're like family.
Yeah.
You just understand somebody on a different level.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, that's a like. Even if I'm having another conversation, I'll like hear a snippet of you. I'm like, I gotta
save this guy.
I'm like, I gotta go. I'll be right back. I gotta go. I'm like, you're really gonna dig yourself a hole, and it's gonna be a whole thing. And usually people are drunk, and people are not.
I don't do that much anymore.
You don't. You've got actually much.
I did it once, one party, and at the beginning, and I'm like, okay. I just did it again, but it was also like the first party after COVID, right?
So much
you don't know. I forgot how to be social at that party. Actually, after that party,
that's right.
I was so like introspective of how I was acting.
Yeah.
I was like on the drive back home. I was thinking so much. Because you forget how to be
a person with other people.
Yeah,
I guess so. Honestly, I never had that much isolation because I feel like I'm always in Zoom calls and always like I never feel like my interaction.
Same, but that's work Zoom calls, and that's like family Zoom calls, right? I
suppose so.
It's not like friends and friends of friends, or friends of family.
I know exactly what party you're talking about.
Or family of friends.
And
yeah, the only party.
That was jokes. I was like, yo, I don't even know. Sometimes I'll literally be like across the room. I'm like, Roman, just look at me. Look at me. Look at me. And I'll just be like, stop talking.
Sometimes you go like,
I'm like, yeah. Why are you so good at doing
eyes, man.
Why are you so good at doing that?
And then when something good's happening, I love that. You're like this.
Yeah, I'm like, thank God.
You don't see the eyes. When the eyes are big, you're like, something's wrong. When the eyes are small, you're like, everything's good.
I'm gonna die.
It's one way to read that. Just look at the eyes. The eyes,
I'm really
Chico,
working
they
on
never
this
lie.
Because I feel like I wear my emotions so quickly on my face. Like,
do I?
I don't think so. But I feel like I'm very I wear my emotions like on my face all the time. Like sometimes people will be talking and my mom will be like, you need to change your face. Because like at families or something, people will be talking mad shit and I'll really be like,
yeah, you'll be like that, or you'll be like,
yeah, like my face, you can be like, oh, she's like, I can't.
Mad, sad, or mad, or like or just not impressed with the conversation going on right now.
Change your face.
Not about it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, like I don't even notice it. It's such a like thing that I wear my emotions on my face, and I feel like it could get like it gets me in trouble sometimes because I can't hide it.
It could, but you're also reacting to what they're saying, and instead of you shaping up to be okay with what they're saying, they should realize what's making what they're saying is.
One of my coworkers was like, it's very obvious when you don't like someone, and to me, I feel like it's not obvious at all. I'm like, oh, I'm so good at hiding that. You're like, no, you're not. I'm like, oh, and then like name. I
don't know how to act around people I don't like
because I'm not around them very much.
Yeah.
I don't know. People be like, you know, if people are in my space, like obviously co-workers are not my friends or whatever, or people that I don't like, or I'm not like, these are my people, these are not my person.
My people.
Or whatever, my coworkers, like, it's very easy to tell when you don't like someone. Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you just like don't talk to them. I'm like, oh fuck, because I'm not.
And you act different to people you like.
Yeah, I do, because I'm like, I'm obviously trying to be a civil human in like that exists in the world. So I'm not trying to be an asshole. But like, if I don't like you, why would I have more opportunities to talk to you? It's not gonna go well. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just avoid that situation to begin with, and I guess that's a good tell.
I only communicate with you when I have to. But then you work at like where you're working. It's the same people and you see each other all the time. That's true. Like it's really easy to notice if somebody else is doing something. Depends on where you work and your environment.
Like for my project, right? Like my UBC project?
Yeah. Oh, that's different. You're seeing like the same people, aren't you?
Yeah, so all my workplaces I'm seeing the same people. So my UBC project that I'm doing right now, I'm like the curator, so I'm like, there's like 4 people that are doing research that like pass through me and then I review their work and then give it to the professor. Like I'm the middleman kind of thing. And I overheard this conversation happening in lab, like I was and I was like, something had gone wrong.
Oh, were they talking about you?
Kind of. It was such a, they weren't talking about me in a way of like, oh, talking about me, but it was like, there was 2 girls, and they both work for me. No, it's not bad. They both work for me, and one of them has worked with me for like 3 projects, and the other one I just hired this time.
Yeah.
So the one that was working with me for like 3 projects, she was talking to the other girl, and like they had made a mistake about ordering the wrong thing or something like that, and she's like, oh, like, did you tell G-Bat about that, or Charlotte about this? And she's like, yeah, she said it was fine. And the girl's like, but like, did she say it was fine or did she say it was fine? I was like, what? She's like, how did she say it?
No, I get you know exactly what they're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I was like, oh, like, am I, like, she's like, did she say great or did she say great like 4 times? Was she like, it's great, or was she like, it's great?
Because it's how you say
And I was like, oh my god, I'm like I'm gonna actually like
Yeah.
that. And the girl's like, oh, it was the second one. She's like, yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, that great is not good.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
not
she said.
great.
Yeah, that's what she said. And then she's just like, oh, she's like, yeah, she's probably just trying to spare your feelings and not yell at you. And I was like, oh.
But it's kind of weird how somebody couldn't read that, but you saying fine instead of fine.
Yeah.
Like,
But, like,
it's
if
so
you
easy to
don't-
tell.
I guess, but if you don't know me and you're like, hey,
or if you don't know how to talk to people.
You would think that, but sometimes but that's how you feel when you're stuck in those situations. You read people wrong all the time.
You're right.
Yeah, that's just what it is. Because you know me well that you
Yeah,
think, like,
you're
obviously, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how she
yeah.
felt.
I get you.
Because she's like, so what did she say? Like, she's like, well, she said it's great. Like, she, like, gave me the paper. And I remember this vividly because she gave me the paper and she's
Great,
like, oh, I
great.
ordered like the wrong concentration, right? And I was like looking at the paper and it was just showing me that, oh, I can't like get the new delivery to like 2 more weeks. And I was like, oh, that's going to delay me like 4 weeks. And I was like, great. Like,
Yeah.
and like, she just like, okay, like she took it like not so, like she was just like
That's
happy
like
that I gave her.
bad shit when she's like, great.
I'm like, cool.
It's like a fake sarcastic.
'Cause I don't
This
wanna
is all right. Nothing
Yeah,
happened.
that's all good. It's all fine. I'm fine.
That's exactly what I hear when you're like, great.
Oh, yeah, that was good. Good.
It's like a dog sitting in the fire. Everything is fine.
That's literally it. I'm like, oh yeah, that was good.
That's you in your brain. Mini G-Bat sitting on a chair in a big
Good.
fire.
Good.
Yeah, all right.
It's good.
I'm good. Woo. Let me get drink some water. Woo. What do you do today? Fuck you.
Oh no.
I don't fucking care.
That's literally like that. That's when I realized I'm like, oh, maybe I do have like those tells where people like, because I mean, to me, I'm like, oh, I'm so
Everybody
neutral.
has hotels though.
Like, to me, I'm like, oh, I'm so neutral. I'm really not though. Like, I really be out here just wearing my emotions on my face. Like, sometimes people be talking and my face is just like this. Like, and people be like, why are you looking like that? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's good. Like, even at lectures, like when I go to see professors speak about shit,
Yeah.
a lot of science is like literally the same concept that somebody came up with, and then they tweak it a little bit to come up with like a little variant, and then they publish it. But it's the same shit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'll be like sitting there like, this is a new great
Academia.
idea. Like, it's honestly,
That's academia,
getting
yeah.
published is so difficult, right? And there's only so many things under the sun, but like, the amount of funding and stuff you get is based on like how published you are, how well recognized your name is in the
So it's
industry.
like the rich get richer and the poor just
Sort
stay
of, yeah.
fucking
So
crap.
the priority isn't like finding new shit. The priority is to get published, and things that get published is like new way found to like lose weight,
Yeah.
and it's like
And
literally
you're gonna pander to what would get you published.
And it's like the littlest discrepancy. Like, it's really
like
not
selling
a
out.
new thing. Yeah, basically. And then they're like, we did this whole study to get money, and like it's like the hot new thing, and it's like not really innovative, but it's the same shit. And I'll go to those like lectures, and I'll be like,
This ain't my vibe, man.
I'll
What are
literally
you
be like
talking
this.
about?
And my like professor that I went with would be like, why is your face like that? I'm like,
Well, you should just tell them what you think.
yeah, but then I'm also trying to get published.
Huh?
But I'm trying to get published too.
I hate that.
Yeah, that's
I
what
hate
academia
being
is.
fake
Yeah.
so you can get where you want.
Which is what I've
that.
learned. Yeah. It's really hard to do.
I don't want to be in any job that makes me do that.
Yeah. It's really hard to do. That's why I already think I left science, because I was like, I can't do this long term, bro.
But well, going on that, we were about to have this conversation earlier. I feel like that's because that's how like the old way of shit is. And even though we're not in the new way of shit, but stuff is changing as like the generations are changing. The generation that grew up with no technology,
You know what? You
is
think
growing
that?
old and dying.
No.
in the younger
You think
technology.
that is because the newer generation, nobody kisses their ass. Once you get a taste of what getting your ass kissed feels like, everybody wants to kiss ass. So you just get more kiss
yeah, it
asses from
feels
that
good.
generation. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
people that will get power in our generation will do the same shit, because getting your ass kissed is the best feeling.
Yeah, but people are also
It's the same shit. It's
people will speak out more if it's not what they want, and like,
but it won't
people
matter.
will
They won't
strike it.
get anywhere.
I feel like it will not, like in a couple years, in probably a decade or two,
Couple years, decade.
because people like
2 years,
with all
20
the
years.
protests we're having right now, they're still happening while you don't see it on the news because they're onto new things. They're
course.
onto other bigger things, but it's still
Yeah.
happening. It's still a problem.
But that's always
it's still
been.
something we're dealing with.
That's always been.
But the protests are still going on. The kids are still fighting because they believe what they think is right.
Because progress
And
is
they're
very
gonna-
slow.
That's the thing. Progress is slow, but it's also because there's all this old people, old culture in the places of power that makes the progress go slow or fast.
You
and it's
think
also the
that,
way
right?
stuff
it's
is
not
set up
old
that's
people,
slow.
dude. It's the
all-
power dynamic in place. Like the system in place
The
is meant
system
to
is slow
corrupt.
too. Yeah, the system is slow
Like
too.
you know, you're saying like, oh, if all these old people were to go and like the new or newer generation was to take their place, things would be different.
No, but what's
It
saying the
wouldn't,
system
because-
can't change?
What?
What's saying the system can't change? You can
Because-
change the people, you can change the system.
I agree, but it's so slow.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen in our generation for sure. Like you think like, oh, people. That's what my hope is too. Like you know, when people, the newer
When we have
generation will make a
grandkids, it's
change.
just gonna be so different.
Dude, you think that, but it really ain't. You know why?
I
Because
mean,
absolute power corrupts absolutely. So
Oh,
the
yeah,
system is
definitely.
built to corrupt the thinking. It's very difficult to stay in the system and not conform to it.
yeah.
Because it's not. You can't keep fighting for 20 years. Like, it drains you, dude. So, you know how you're saying, like, our generation is going to make that change occur? You know how you're like, oh, I hate that academia is like that. You have to kiss ass, right? The people who are getting their ass kissed right now always thought, like, oh, I hate kissing ass when they were kissing ass. But then they get to that position
Yeah,
and
the
they're like,
people
now
who
I
are
want.
kissing ass right now
Are gonna get to
doing
that
it because
place.
they know you can get to that place.
Yeah, and then when they get to that place, they're gonna be like, oh,
there's
people kiss
that
my
just
ass.
grind, right?
No,
Yeah.
because then people will be like, oh, well, I had to kiss ass, so I guess it's okay. This person has to kiss. So the cycle just continues. Because when you get to that place,
Yeah.
it corrupts you.
Yeah.
And it takes a very specific kind of person to not get corrupted. And I don't shade on
I
people.
feel like that's what it'll take to change then. Special
Yeah.
person to get into that place
100%.
and change.
But it's so
But that, I guess
difficult.
with what I was saying then is like there's more chance of that happening now with newer age people having their own thoughts and having their own beliefs and
I
being
want to
feeling
believe
strong
that.
about their beliefs.
And I'm sure there will be changes.
I mean,
but
you're
not to
the prime
level.
example. You're like one person that would be like that.
I
you would
know.
kiss your ass to get to the top and then change shit.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
100%.
And you're one person, I know. There's millions of you out
But
there.
because of me having that perspective, I'll tell you, shit is fucking draining.
Oh, shit is draining.
It's like really like, what the fuck, why?
But you're willing to put all that effort into it and
Yeah,
change
but not
it.
everyone is.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not.
what I'm saying.
I'm trying to find my own way to do it.
Yeah.
In my own way, but I'm not gonna.
Because you're the person who's like, you can change the system from the outside, and I'm the person who believes like you have to be in the system to change the system.
And both are true.
Yeah.
But yours is true too, yeah. Yours is more true.
Because if you're not in the system, you don't really understand how it works.
There's more
actually.
than one way to
This
get
makes-
something done.
Of course, 100%. So everybody has just, it's so much shit to like.
That's what growing
consider,
up is.
I guess.
And back to the first point, growing up.
Wow, full circle with 6 minutes to spare. Maybe I should do my outro now. Okay, let me do my outro.
Outro.
Outro. Okay,
Goodbye.
I'm trying to thank you for being in
It's
my
just the
podcast.
outro, okay?
Oh my god, I'm
Okay,
like fully
let me
trying
get
to
back
thank
up.
this guy right now. Okay. Are you ready? Yeah, thank
Ready?
you.
3, 2, 1.
Thanks, Roman,
Don't
for
worry,
sitting in the car with me.
I survived, man. It actually got
wasn't that
cooler
hot at
outside.
the end, like,
it got
once we-
cooler
yeah.
as we started talking. I think I was just stressed to be on camera.
Oh, really? Wow.
Nah.
But yeah, thank you for sitting in the car with me. Any closing remarks?
I
Now
kind of
you
forgot
have
what
to
we
say.
talked about.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to summarize. It's just like
Closing
whatever.
remarks. People, listen to your body.
Your what?
Bali. Okay. Cut
Like
that.
the country? Or
Closing remarks. Like the country.
like stay true to your Bali? Like what?
Ball hard every day.
Dear God. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, closing marks. Listen to your body. Listen to your mind. Listen to your heart. Listen to the others around you with a grain of salt. Don't believe everything you hear, but also do the work to know what's right and what's wrong, and what to believe and what not to believe. And really, you're the master of your own life. Don't let anybody say anything else. You just carry on doing you. Your life will take you wherever it takes you. Sure, you can help it, but don't worry about the future. And don't worry about the past. Just worry about right now. And right now I need to take some allergy medicine because my nose is running.
Oh my God. Okay. Great closing remarks. Thank you for that
you.
advice. Thank you for sitting in the car with me. Like I said. Okay.
No worries.
Bye.